you, Karti ji. Welcome to India News Manch. सबसे पहले आपको मालूम है हमारा ये हिंदी चैनल है, तो मैं अगर आपसे हिंदी में सवाल करूं तो कैसे लगेगा?
हिंदी ले பேசினா நான் தமிழ்ல பேச ஆரம்பிச்சுடுவேன்.
I think we will agree to disagree on that one and find a common medium. Karti, in fact, I was going to introduce you as the bad boy of Indian politics.
Am I?
Well, you're very.
It's always good to have a reputation, you know.
But you know, this is the thing about, you know, one first heard about your reputation, then you and I have had many interviews after that. So there is an image problem, right?
I don't think there's an image problem. There's a, you know, just people have preconceived notions, but there's no real problem as such. It doesn't affect me electorally, or it doesn't affect me in the way I function. But because of the nature of social media and how people perceive, and I also am my father's son, so they have their biases one way or the other, and it just sort of get, you know, it just wallows in the internet. But it's not a real problem at all in any sense. And anybody with who's discerning would realize what's being circulated in social media, or what kind of you know, rumor mongering goes on there. I don't think people take it too seriously, but there is a small ecosystem which seems to wallow in that.
No, this is the problem. I mean, the social media, the world that the bubble that is created, you know, because even, I don't know whether you've seen the movie Dhurandhar.
I haven't, but I've been getting a lot of, I've been marked on Twitter a lot saying there's some sort of veiled reference to me in the movie. I haven't seen it, and apparently it's very long in Hindi, but hopefully somebody will see it and tell me what the reference is. But I am getting a lot of, I am marked a lot on social media, particularly Twitter, which I operate myself. I'm constantly tagged along saying that there is a reference to me, but I do not know how much of a reference is there or what the reference is.
So if you Google, there is a reference, but if you Google further, then there is a clarification also.
Okay.
So it depends on the tenacity of your viewers. But what are the most bizarre allegations that you have heard against you? You have pinned them on your Twitter handle, I know.
I've had, and the first is that, I mean, there are some, you know, perpetual rumor mongers, particularly a person called Subramaniam Swamy. I mean, he actually went and said that I have 6 lakh crores US dollars. I mean, I'd take that. You know, if they give me that kind of money, I'll seriously take it. You know, I mean, that puts me in the league of Elon Musk and Bill Gates, and I'll take that any day. And he goes on. I think he's got some serious past life problem with my father, and so he goes on and on about him and me. And the other thing is that, actually, this is very funny. You know, in fact, in court, in one of the proceedings, the ED said that I have 24 properties in 25 countries. Think through that. It's actually a little riddle. If one has 24 properties in 25 countries, one property has to be in the border of a country. It has to be in 2 places. I mean, they actually put that on affidavit. And I was actually, this is how they make things up. And the other thing which keeps on going, saying that, you know, it took me a while to catch on to it, is saying that, that we grow cauliflower in pots. I get that often, and on WhatsApp, and not on WhatsApp, on Twitter. And in fact, I clarify to people saying that we don't gobi is cauliflower, right? I don't grow gobi, actually we cultivate asparagus. So, you know, that's my response to it. I mean, it's... But
what is the growing cauliflower?
I have no idea. I mean, this just keeps going on, saying that we're growing cauliflower in pots, and, you know, we have this kind of thing. It's WhatsApp, you know, and WhatsApp and Twitter, and just go mad. You should laugh at it. I laugh at everything. So, I mean, I don't take them seriously. I don't think anybody takes it seriously. But there is a small ecosystem which buys into this, that's all.
But why is that?
See, that's the nature of our information input today, because, you know, everybody is, because it's so algorithm driven, and you're in your own bubble, you're not reading different perspectives, you're not willing, you come with a preconceived notion, and it only gets solidified because of social media. In fact, you don't have a diversity of perspective anymore. Nobody is willing to listen to somebody who disagrees with them. Nobody is willing to read a counter view. Everybody is, you come with the preset notion of your politics or your beliefs, and you only reinforce it again and again and again. I mean, that's a problem not only for one side, it's the problem for all sides.
Fair enough. You know, let's now get to the topic, which is, you know, the politics of opposition. Lekin parliament is going on, but your leader of opposition has gone off to Germany. Now, you know, you guys don't...
So has the Prime Minister.
But how will you criticize the Prime Minister when he is himself?
I mean, that's how important the leader of the House is the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition treat Parliament the same, I guess. Both have gone abroad. So, I mean, it's backbenchers like me who have to attend now. So.
Fair enough. So now it's the kind of debate that is going on, Karti, in Parliament. We've never, a lot of it I think has to do, I mean, let's not go on the level of debate. If the equation is so bad between the two leaders, it percolates down. How do we fix that?
See, I think what's crucially different from this government, from the previous governments, is that previous governments always, whichever party, both the BJP and the Congress-led governments, always had a back channel. I think that's not there anymore.
Yeah.
There always used to be this, you'll debate in Parliament or you'll disagree in Parliament, and then in the corridor, you'll have a cup of tea and sort of sort it out and say, okay, we'll give in a little bit, you give in a little bit, let's sort this out. That back channel, I'm afraid, is not there. It's not there because certain personalities who used to be the black channel are not there anymore. And by nature of this structure, this government is very centralized, and there is no delegation of authority to anybody else to sort this out in the back end. And I think that's a failing on both parties of not having this back channel.
And also, is it because politics has become so personal? There was a working committee, I remember, I think RPN Singh or someone raised that issue, saying that let's not attack the PM personally, let's attack him on issues. And he was, booed down by the rest of the CWC.
I think because of social media, it's become very personal, it's very sharper, and you're not really talking issues, I mean, I've also seen criticism. The people sometimes in public are also surprised that people from opposition parties can be friends, because they think, it's so polarized, and they think that it's so toxic, they think that people actually hate each other. That's not true. I mean, I know a few of my colleagues got trolled because they attended a wedding, and they participated in a Sangeet, and I saw a whole slew of comments saying that, oh, we are fighting for them, and look at them all sort of fraternizing with each other. Yeah. And I was actually surprised by that comment. I mean, what do people expect? Do they expect that people should carry their ideological or party position differences onto their personal space as well? I mean, that's how politics is becoming right now, though. But that's how the perception of politics is becoming. It's unfortunate, though.
Yeah, because you and I, we've seen a different time. We've seen the era of Vajpayee, the era of Manmohan Singh. There were times when it was okay to, disagree. But is it because it's become so vitriolic that you...
This used to be the case in state politics, never in Delhi. In fact, because of the regional parties, their rivalries were very personal, particularly in a state like I came from. The rivalry between MGR and Karunanidhi was personal, and then it was to another level between Jayalalitha and Karunanidhi. It was very personal. In fact, both parties viewed each other as complete adversaries. But Delhi wasn't like that. In Delhi, between the principal political parties, you had your differences in parliament, but there was a lot of bonhomie and relationships outside. But that's getting lesser right now. I'm not saying it's completely gone. It's getting lesser and less visible right now.
In fact, what Shah Rukh Khan said, the difference between actors and politicians. Actors are very nice to each other in public, but then they bitch about each other behind their backs. With politicians, it's the opposite.
Possibly. I don't think this personal acrimony which people perceive that we have because of our debates or of our positions actually spills over too much to our private time and personal time.
So are you happy with the winter session that, debates at least happening?
I mean, it's been okay, but we are talking about, as I said, and I even tweeted about it, I said while we are discussing loudly about history, the present is slipping away quietly. I mean, I think the government doesn't have much of a legislative business, at least until today. I think they're going to rush through certain things. If you looked at the first 10, 12 days, 2 days went away in protest. And then we spent an inordinate amount of time talking about an innocuous cess bill on cigarettes and gutka, which should have perhaps been only talked for about an hour or so, but we talked for about a day in that. And then we went into this long, open house on Vande Mataram. And then we went on electoral reforms. So these are all motherhood and apple pie issues, which really are not necessarily to be spent so much time in Parliament. I would have been much more happier had we spoken about the systemic failure which led to the Indigo fiasco, the fire in Goa, which are all contemporary issues. And there are also systemic issues. We don't spend time on that. But this government is a very history revisionist obsessed government. I've seen that. They're very caught up in revising or giving a different narrative to events which happened long ago, which really don't have a bearing. And we're not talking about ease of living, day-to-day issues enough or finding solutions to day-to-day ease of living issues. That's my quibble with the entire political discourse we are having in India.
And now there's a move to rename Narega also.
I know, it's another tongue twister. This government comes up with names, which are real tongue twisters. I saw it something like VGG, Ramji or something. I don't even know what it means. I mean, I have to go and look it up. I mean, it's again revisionist. It's only a matter of time before they want to perhaps obliterate the image of Mahatma Gandhi even in our currency. I'm not seeing that as very far-fetched. They're very, as I said, that they're very caught up in revising and giving a certain narrative. And instead of looking at substantive issues and which actually make a sense, I mean, these name changes are meaningless.
Is it because we've had an overdose of the Nehru Gandhi names in so many decades of that there is?
I mean, if that was wrong, you're a government of a difference. Why go through these tongue twisters? You should just
You're objecting to the tongue twister or the renaming?
The renaming itself, and you should come up with new schemes and give whatever names you want. There's no point in renaming what is already there. I mean, if you want to come up with a new scheme, come up with a name which you think is appropriate. But why go back to what's already there and rename it? In fact, the cost of renaming is expensive. Because you'll have to change everything, right, from signboards to stationery. Why go through all that? Why go through all that trouble? What is the value add you're getting by a rename? I don't understand that at all. And it also shows a bit of an insecurity by this government. I find this government to be very insecure. Even though they have such a large majority in parliament, and they're a third-term government, but they are so insecure. They don't want opposition to raise issues of concern of the opposition. I mean, I wouldn't be this insecure. If I was a 3-time prime minister with a huge majority, I'd just let the opposition say what it wants to say, because I have the majority. I'll get my way in parliament. I wouldn't curb it. I wouldn't be so coy about issues and things like that. But that insecurity I sense with them a lot. I don't know why, though.
But there is also, do you feel that, this whole, there is an alternate politics of distractions, one would say, or a, different kind of narrative, because the work is getting done. They are passing their bills. The House protests, you guys lose out because you can't debate the important issues. Why are you falling for their bait?
For me, measure of work getting done is the average person's life getting better and easier. That is the real measure. It is not about your agenda of how history is being viewed or what is your sort of your identity politics. I'm not interested in that politics. I'm interested in ease of living. Are we making life easier on a day-to-day basis for the average person in this country? Can we measure and say, is life easier today than it was 1 year ago, 10 years ago? That is the real measure of effectiveness in politics. Not this idea of a perception of a glorious past. I mean, we're too stuck in this idea of some glorious past which is going to come back again or something like that. I don't prescribe to that at all.
Okay, ease of living. You have been following your debates. You've come up with some very, easy to implement and some very basic everyday suggestions. For example, what you said about the multiple KYCs. I really like that point.
Yeah, see, multiple KYCs is a huge irritant. CIBIL scores is another big problem. Everybody is affected by CIBIL scores. I mean, you go into a bank, and nobody knows how the CIBIL score works. It's a private company. We are not simplifying all those things. It's actually the average person who's getting affected. He can't get a loan. He can't get a credit card. He can't do anything without that CIBIL score. And if there's an error in your CIBIL score, you don't know how to correct it. These multiple KYCs, street dogs, and now there's another one coming up. I mean, I don't think people are paying much attention to it. They've introduced a notification which says that all chats have to be SIM bound, which means chats will only work if on phones in which the SIM is active and data is on, which means you're what for the average person in this country? Can we measure and say, is life easier today than it was 1 year ago, 10 years ago? That is the real measure of effectiveness in politics. Not this idea of a perception of a glorious past. I mean, we're too stuck in this idea of some glorious past which is going to come back again or something like that. I don't prescribe to that at all.
Okay, ease of living. You have been following your debates. You've come up with some very, easy to implement and some very basic everyday suggestions. For example, what you said about the multiple KYCs. I really like that point.
Yeah, see, multiple KYCs is a huge irritant. CIBIL scores is another big problem. Everybody is affected by CIBIL scores. I mean, you go into a bank, and nobody knows how the CIBIL score works. It's a private company. We are not simplifying all those things. It's actually the average person who's getting affected. He can't get a loan. He can't get a credit card. He can't do anything without that CIBIL score. And if there's an error in your CIBIL score, you don't know how to correct it. There's multiple KYCs, street dogs, and now there's another one coming up. I mean, I don't think people are paying much attention to it. They've introduced a notification which says that all chats have to be SIM bound, which means chats will only work if on phones in which the SIM is active and data is on, which means your WhatsApp won't work if they implement it. The companies are pushing back. WhatsApp won't work on Wi-Fi. And if you go abroad and you have another SIM and you're using your India Wi-Fi, that won't work, which people are not paying attention. This is going to be such a huge inconvenience that if they do SIM binding, they're given the notification in end of November. The companies apparently have 90 days to comply. Funnily, they have exempt iMessage from it. Other than iMessage, WhatsApp, I think Telegram and a few other apps are all part of it. They say in order to prevent fraud, you have to have the SIM on your phone, and the SIM must be on, and the data must be through the SIM, which means it won't work on Wi-Fi. Then they're saying that any chat on a web platform will log out every 6 hours. So small businesses which rely on WhatsApp for businesses will have to log in and log out every 6 hours. See, these are all really inconvenient things which this government is bringing in, which people are not yet noticing. It's not yet implemented, you're not feeling it. But this is something which people must be very aware. If SIM binding happens, your WhatsApp won't work on Wi-Fi. You will not get your WhatsApp messages when you go abroad because your data is not on there. Your SIM and your data must be on. This is where I think this government misses the point. They make these rules. The other day they wanted everybody to have that app which is going to do that, and then there was so much pushback they went away. So there's a lot of things which this government brings in the name of national security or which actually make life very, very inconvenient. This is going to be a big issue, and I think you as a news channel must have much more greater debate on the SIM binding which they've brought about.
Thank you for flagging it. In fact, I think this is something we will look into. But we're out of time, so a couple of quick questions for you. One is related to Tamil Nadu. Whom should, there is, I believe, now it's time to talk alliances. The state is going in for polls. Should you stick with DMK or should you go with Vijay?
See, this Vijay is going to have an impact. I mean, there's no two ways about it. I think he's got a lot of energy, but there's no structure and form to his political party. I think he's going to get significant number of votes, but whether those votes will convert into seats, I don't know. In my party, of course, there is a lot of murmurs, but I think we are going to stick with the India Alliance and we will be with the DMK. We've been with them for long, and that probably will be the winning alliance. But Vijay is not somebody you should discount. I think he will poll significant number of votes, but in a first-past-the-post system, votes don't necessarily translate to seats.
Name the 3 most stalwart allies of the Congress in the India Alliance.
Pardon me?
Who do you think are the 3 most prominent allies of the Congress in the India?
At the moment, the DMK is perhaps the most steadfast.
That's why I said 3. I knew 1 to DMK hoga.
I mean, I think I would say Akhilesh Yadav's party and Lalu Prasad's party. They would say the 3 most solid at the moment. But alliances are fluid structures, I mean, these are all depending on the time and the place, alliances will form and break. There's no hard and fast rule that political parties must always align with each other. If all political parties are always aligned, we might as well merge and become one political party. We will have differences and we will take decisions based on the situation. And that's normal.
But there is a suggestion that everybody on your ally has most of them are former Congress leaders also. Why not bring them all back?
I think that will be very complicated. People who have tasted a little bit of freedom and independence don't necessarily want to come back and submit themselves to that. I have not really seen any successful breakaway wanting to come back, and I understand them for it. There is that you have that flexibility of running your own outfit, but at the same time having some sort of a larger alliance. I understand that logic.
But there are some of your allies say that, you saw Sonia Gandhi's birthday party recently. Everybody came and sat there and cut the, they came out of, there was a lot of goodwill. The kind of goodwill she enjoys, Rahul doesn't enjoy.
See, Sonia Gandhi is actually a remarkable politician.
Yes.
If you just step back and reflect, I mean, as a 19, 20-year-old, you move to a country which you do not know anybody other than the person you intend to marry. You don't speak the language. You come from a completely different culture. You come and integrate yourself with that family, live through that family, see 3 tragic deaths in a span of 11 years, 80 to 91, and then reluctantly take on a political role, and then resurrect the political formation, come to government. I think it's the most remarkable political story in the last 40 years. I mean, it's much more remarkable than anybody else. And I think history, when they write about her, will realize how transformative she's been for herself and how much she's achieved. I mean, can you imagine a young 19-year-old Indian girl going to another country, perhaps marrying into a prominent family there, but actually moving up the political ladder and actually holding such a diverse political structure together? I think it's a very, very remarkable life, and history will judge her very, very differently, and history will give her a place which is due to her.
Last question: do you regret not knowing Hindi? Because
well, I don't regret it, but I mean, it's not a regret, because I never had an opportunity to learn it, and there's no necessity. And now I'm here on and off. I do get I get a smattering of it, but there's no regret in not learning it. But you have to also understand this expectation for you to learn Hindi itself is some sort of a cultural imposition. I feel that. Where is the effort from anybody from North India to learning another language which is not they're not comfortable, familiar with? I don't see any school institution in North India teaching children a Southern Indian language or something. So it's a two-way street. But for us, it's also our cultural identity. So perhaps my pushback is also I'm making a political point.
Okay. On that note, thank you so much for being here and answering all our questions so candidly. Thank you.
Thank you.